Hello and welcome to this week's Volleyball Roundtable. I'm your host, Bo Wilkinson, joined by Carson Fields and Trevor Booth. Carson, you got the chance to cover the Stanford game last week. What did you see from the team there?
It was a rough match for the Sun Devils. They were swept in 3 sets, and the team played really inefficiently. .045 hitting percentage in the first set. They allowed 3 service aces in a row at one point in the match, and that's unacceptable for a team. You can't have 3 service aces in a row allowed on you and want to win a match. I mean, that's just fundamentals. And so I think that they came into the game with low expectations anyway, because Stanford's the #2 team in the nation, but they certainly didn't live up to anything.
All right, and Trevor, you had the Cal game, and what did you see from the team in that match?
You know, much like Carson saw in the Stanford game, it was just a lot of poor play and the Sun Devils beating themselves. And obviously, guys, as an athlete, you're going from playing one of the greatest teams in the country, Stanford at #2 defending national champs, and then you're going to a team that's bottom tier in the Pac-12 and Cal. And it's just a different mentality switch that the Sun Devils had to adjust from. And you can see that it was a game they really thought they could get. Cal came into the game last in blocking percentage in the Pac-12, and the Sun Devils have struggled against teams with the block. And they came out physically sluggish. Their passing was really poor, as it has been these past couple games. And they just dug themselves in a lot of holes. And the one area that the Bears did have on the Sun Devils was the serving game. And we saw that with Enzel Dempe. Her jump serve was working all night long, and Emma Smith went on a huge run for the Bears in set 1. And they were just playing catch-up the whole night, and you can't do that against the teams that are in the Pac-12 that are so competitive like they are.
All right, and the team started 0-4 in conference play. And Carson, where do you think the team is at mentally?
I don't think the team's at a good place mentally. It's never a good thing to lose 4 games in a row, obviously, but I think the reason they lost the California game is they were already down there 0-3. They might be more talented, but they probably don't have as much experience as Cal. But they kind of got down on themselves, and I think that's ultimately why they lost against California. They should have used the Washington match as a momentum builder, because they took 2 sets away from a top-tier Washington team. They were ranked #7 in the nation when they played the Sun Devils, and yet they didn't turn this into winning mentality. They didn't win a set against Stanford or Cal, and I don't think this sets them up for this weekend well, because they play 2 more ranked teams.
And Trevor, your thoughts?
You know, like Carson said, it's really frustrating, especially when they're 0-4 right now, but they could easily be 3-1, guys, if they finish off that 2-set-to-none advantage against Washington. And if they brought their A game against Arizona and Cal, they easily could be 3-1. But I think they're definitely at a great place right now to go home. And even though they're facing 4 ranked opponents in their next game, they had the ability to be at home and kind of get themselves a win under their belt, especially at home, to kind of prove, hey, we're not some team that should be a laughingstock in the Pac-12. We do have some good players and some good talent. So I think from an athlete's perspective, they are really motivated to kind of get one of these games and potentially more of these games going forward. And I think that's just the message that coach has got to relay to the team, is that, okay, we started off 0-4, but now you have the chance to redeem yourselves against some more great teams. Guys, we saw USC sweep Washington. So it's definitely a chance for the Sun Devils to kind of prove themselves once again at home.
And now, Trevor, what are some things the Sun Devils need to do to turn things around this upcoming homestand against the LA schools?
You know, I really think they need to start off and get off to hotter starts. In the Bay Area road trip, they got off to slow starts, and they kind of were able to put some runs together, but they were down 7 to 8 points in a majority of these sets. And against Stanford, they started off and played really poorly in the first 2 sets, but even almost won the 3rd set, forced Stanford back a lot in a lot of serve receive. And then against Cal, they would come back and get it within 1 in most sets, put together some good runs, but they just can't put themselves in holes to begin with, or else they're not going to be able to get leads and get themselves some confidence going forward in the matches.
And Carson, your thoughts?
I think this weekend, it could be rough, but I think there are a lot of things they could do to make it a lot better. They just need to play a lot more complete as a team, pass better, play better defense, less unforced errors, because that really killed them against California. They had 22. And I think they should make the switch to Shelby Dobmeyer at setter. She was leading the conference in assists per set at 12.08 before she got benched. And now the team's going in the wrong direction without her in the lineup. And you really have to wonder if that's a coincidence or if it's really because she's a much better player than Nicole Peterson, who's in. Nicole Peterson isn't as tall. She isn't athletic. She can't really make the defensive plays that Dobmeyer can. So I think it would be beneficial to the team to insert Dobmeyer back into the lineup.
All right, well, that's it for this week's Volleyball Roundtable. Thank you for watching, and make sure to follow us online at devilsindetail.com.